Welcome to the Forefront Radio. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. I'm your host, Afio Levi. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. If you could hear me, put a 1 in the chat. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. If you could hear me, put a 1 in the chat. Make sure you subscribe for more updates. We want all the listeners to make sure you're tapping the screen so others can listen in. Also, share the room with at least 10 people. Share the room with at least 10 people so that way they can join up on this live as well. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. We appreciate everyone that's joining on and listening in. Y'all bear with me. I'm just getting things set up for this exciting class. I tried to set up my shalom to you, Jay Striker. I tried to set up my studio equipment so we can get this started, but for some reason my device is not working, the battery is not working, and the plug connecting it to the electricity is not working. For some reason the device does not want to work at all. Get through anyhow, y'all. We gonna stick it through anyhow, no matter what. The show must go on. That's what they say, right? The show must go on. So if you're new to the Forefront Radio, I'll give you a little bit of background about the show. It's a diaspora news channel dedicated to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, teaching your history from your perspective with a little bit of biblical twist to it, with a little bit of biblical twist to it. Meaning we don't hide the fact that the Bible says that the Israelites are melanated people. But for some strange reason, the church don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know that. So we appreciate everyone that's listening in. Share the room with at least 10 people. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do. If you can hear me, put a 1 in the chat. I'm sorry? Yes. If you can hear me, put a 1 in the chat. If you can hear me from my headphones, put a 1 in the chat. All right. Good. Jay Striker put a 1. All right. Right into it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get right into it. Messiah in the Apocrypha. Messiah in the Apocrypha. I came across this link going into the mindset of the ungodly, and I want to share something with y'all. The Wisdom of Solomon is so interesting because once you understand many of the prophecies in here, you'll realize that this is the dynamic between the Romans, the citizens of the land of Israel, as well as how they interacted with the Messiah, y'all. This is phenomenal information. So now I'm gonna read to you the mindset of the wicked and how they dealt with the Messiah. You're gonna be shocked and amazed at this, ladies and gentlemen. You're gonna be shocked and amazed. I found a clip from a show called Code Geass. Now check this out. It's an anime show. But this anime show gives us the mindset, the thought process, the psyche of the Eurocentric delusionalists, like to the T, meaning those that came into different lands and other people, it gives their mindset. And you read about that in Wisdom of Solomon. So what we're going to do, we're going to read Wisdom of Solomon, and then I'm going to let you listen to a clip, and you're going to ask yourself the question, does this sound exactly like what we're reading here? Okay, watch this. Solomon chapter 2, verse 1. For the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not aright, our life is short and tedious, and in the death of a man there is no remedy. Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave. So people that live a wicked life, people that are ungodly, they say that people can't return from the grave. They think in their mind that there's no reward for living righteous. Welcome, young futuristic. Peace and blessings to you. So now watch this. I'm going to show you the mindset of America. Watch this. Verse 10. It says, let us oppress the poor and righteous man. Let us oppress the poor and righteous man. What is the thought process of the wicked? They say, let us oppress the poor, meaning the way they colonized and conquered the world wasn't peace, wasn't love, wasn't blessings for everybody. They got it through the sword. They got it through war. They got it through colonization. They got it through conquest. Y'all understand that? So we're reading here the mindset of the wicked. Okay? That's what we're reading here in Wisdom of Solomon. And then I'm going to play a clip for y'all, and y'all tell me, does this clip sound exactly like what we're reading here? Watch this. It says, let us oppress the poor and righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age. Let our strength be the law of justice. Let our strength be the law of justice. Does the United States of America oppress the poor? They don't spare the widow. They don't care for the orphans. And they say they're going to punish the people through their laws and call it justice. What are we reading? The Bible. The hidden books of the Bible that the Catholic Church and the Protestant churches tell you not to read. You understand? The hidden writings that they tell you not to read. Okay, watch this. It says, let us oppress the poor, righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age. Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. So now, if you study and research the thought process of America, you'll find out that America calls blacks and Hispanics and Native Americans feeble-minded. During their eugenics programs of scientific racism and all of that, they wanted to get rid of the quote-unquote feeble-minded. You see that? So we're reading here the process of how the Idumeans think, the Romans think, the Eurocentric delusionalists think. This is how America thinks, y'all. Let our strength be the law of justice. How do they oppress the poor? How do they oppress the widow? How do they oppress the world? Through their laws. Think about it. They go across the world and they call it foreign policy. They call it foreign policy. That's what they do. Shalom to you. Welcome to the room. So we're correlating the thought process of the wicked of the world. Watch this. I'm going to read verse 1 again, and then we're going to read further down. Verse 1. For the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not aright. Our life is short and tedious, and in the unalive of a man, there is no remedy. Meaning what? Isn't there a thought process of you only live once? Don't they say YOLO, you only live once? Okay, I know that's for certain. I know that's for sure that many people say that same statement. You only live once. Okay, so what we want to do is prove to you that the things that were written before are written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. Watch this. Verse 10. Let us oppress the poor and righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age. During slavery, did the United States have no regard for young or old? They did not care. Listen, this is how you know that we live in a society that was made in wickedness. Their forefathers were not Christians. Their forefathers were Freemasonists, Illuminati. Some of them were Luciferians, and they literally did not serve the God of the Bible. The God of the Bible said, thou shalt not unalive. Did they believe that? No. Yes, we're reading Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2. This is one of the books that Solomon wrote down that many in modern day religion chooses not to read. But it actually gives you the mindset of America. So share the room with at least 10 people. If this information is interesting to you, share the room with at least 10 people so that way we can get more people listening in on the Forefront Radio. Okay? Valuable information that we're reading here, ladies and gentlemen. We're reading here that America says, let their strength be the law of justice. Let their strength be the law of justice. Meaning what? America uses their laws to oppress the people. America uses their laws to oppress their own citizens and the global people around the world. This is going into an empire, not a democracy. We're reading about the thought process of an empire. Listen close. It says, therefore, let us oppress the poor and righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age. In America, do they say, well, we don't care if you're 60. We don't care now. We're going to boost up the rate now to say, you know what? Instead of your Social Security coming around 65, we're going to boost it up to 70. We want you to work all the way to past your retirement age. They make it so hard that many people are living on Social Security, and many of your grandmothers and grandfathers are right now working at Walmart for anywhere from $7 to $20 an hour. Okay? Meaning the empire does not care. The empire does not care. Young or old, rich or poor, they do not care. Let our strength be the law of justice. When America wants to abuse the people, what do they use? Their law enforcement. They say, we wrote on a piece of paper that this law says ABC. We wrote this manifest destiny document, dumb diverses, that we can go and invade and impress the people. That's what Eurocentric delusionalists do. If I wrote a piece of paper and said, wipe out all the wicked off of the earth, would people follow that? They'd be like, no. But then they'll come up to you and say, according to our law, X, Y, Z. You think that's morally correct? Think about it. This is the same nation that passed laws to say that human beings that are living and breathing, that have the same blood, like they like to say, we all bleed the same blood, right? They have the same blood just like you, but they'll say human entities are 3/5 of a human being to justify their wickedness. What are we reading? The Bible. Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. Meaning what? They go by the theory of evolution, genetic racism, right? They say, let's use our science to pass laws and tell people, if you're not of this certain type of genotype, if you're not this certain type of bracket of what we observe to be righteous, then you are less than. That's what they do. What are we reading? The Bible. The Bible is giving you the thought process of the wicked. Let our strength be the law of justice. Correct. Somebody put the statement, evolution is disconnection to our God. Correct. Meaning they use their evolutionary theory to promote scientific discrimination against the people that were genetically stronger than them, physically stronger than them, able to endure hardships better than them. But then they said, no, you people, you're less than, you're 3/5 of a human being. Okay. That's what they did. That's what they did. So instead of actually following the laws of the Most High, like thou shalt not unalive, thou shalt not lie, they formulated their own human theories to supersede the plain written words of the Bible, y'all. They said, let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. So now watch this. I saw a movie on YouTube. It's a documentary called Ma'afa 21. I invite all the listeners one day when you get an opportunity, listen to this episode called Ma'afa 21, and you'll find out that during the period of time when they first started formulating Planned Parenthood, prior to Planned Parenthood, there was a group of people that were eugenicists. And these eugenicists were going around telling people that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans were quote unquote feeble-minded. That's what they were doing. And they were justifying their Eurocentric delusionalism by going about and utilizing doctors to convince young men, women, and children to weed out the people that they considered less than. So what did they do? They started programs where they placed injectables into people's bodies. They also did what? When women were giving birth, they would snip, 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 snip. And then all of a sudden that woman could not have children. Oops, sorry, you had a hysterectomy and we failed to tell you. That's what they did. And they called these people feeble-minded. You understand that? The same thing happened with the people that call themselves Israeli. I am Yiddish. What did they do? The Ethiopian Jews, they forcefully injected them and said, oh, you're just getting vaccinated. That's all. We care about your health. We are concerned about your well-being. And the people didn't know they were being injected with Depo-Vera, which is a drug that they insert into women to prevent pregnancies, meaning they were forcefully sterilizing people without their consent. I'm showing you the mindset of the ungodly. For a period of time, they did that in North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, and various other colonies, various other states in the United States of America. They forcefully injected people with Depo-Vera shots. Judith said the same thing happened in Puerto Rico also. There you go. Ding, 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 ding. So now another recent pandemic came by, and within that time frame, certain groups of people were told, hey, we have some medicine that will help you. We have medicine that will help you. And many of your brothers and sisters and relatives, uncles and aunties fell for it. They fell for it. Shalom, welcome to the room. So what are we reading? We're reading Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2, and we're showing you the mindset of the ungodly. Listen close. It says, therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous. Let us lie in wait for the righteous. What did America do? What did Europe do? They did not go and vote for this. They lied in wait. They had secret meetings, think tanks, government organizations, hidden behind pseudo-politicians, pseudo-religions, where they would sit and talk about how they would plot against the righteous. The same thing happened with the Romans. The Romans sought ways where they could convert the people either through amity or through manipulation. That's what they did, y'all. Nothing is new under the sun. The same thing the Romans did was the same thing the Spaniards did, the same thing the French did, the same thing Britain did, the same thing that America does. Let us lie in wait for the righteous because he is not for our turn, and he is clean contrary to our doings. He upbraideth us with our offending the law, and objective to our infamy, the transgressions of our education. The transgressions of our meaning the way that Babylon educates people is away from God, not to God. Think about it. The Bible says God created the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them is, right? America says no. Two rocks smashed together and an amoeba had sex with a squirrel, and all of a sudden you had monkeys creating human beings and a big bang. That's what they teach, y'all. And the righteous say, no, that's wicked. That has nothing to do. You understand? Nothing to do. You understand? So now we're reading something that will assist you in deprogramming your mind from Eurocentric delusionalism, because many people don't like to read. They say, oh, why are you reading that? That's in a book. The reason why many of the people on the earth don't know anything and they're intellectually inebriated is because they don't like to read books. Okay? That's what happened. But they teach this to your children. They teach these things to your children and they accept it. You could scroll through TikTok right now and see people say, prove evolution wrong. And you're like, wait a minute, it's called the theory of evolution. And when you actually read who created it, the Charles Darwin, in his document, it's called the preservation of favored races, meaning his whole premise was built on racism and discrimination. That's what you want to hold on to and call it science? Really? Really? Watch this. I have a clip right here from a TV show called Code Geass, where an emperor is speaking. And when you listen to this, this is the exact mindset of America. I'm going to play it for you right now. Listen close.
Some are born swifter of foot, some with greater beauty, some are born into poverty, and others born sick and feeble, both in birth.
Y'all heard what he just said? Let's rewind it for the kids that don't know what we're listening to. We're listening to a speech given by an anime character that reveals to us the mindset of America as it relates to what we just read in Wisdom of Solomon. I'm going to play it all the way straight through, and then after that, we're going to pause it in each section and break down exactly what he's saying and compare it to what we're reading in the book. Watch this.
Some are born swifter of foot, some with greater beauty, some are born into poverty, and others born sick and feeble, both in birth and in upbringing. In sheer scope of ability, every human is inherently different. Yes, that is why people discriminate against one another. competition and the unfaltering march of progress. Inequality is not wrong. Equality is. What of the EU, which made equality a right? Rabble politics by a popularity contest. The Chinese Federation with its equal distribution of wealth? A nation of lazy dullards. But not our beloved Britannia. We fight, we compete. Evolution is continuous.
Evolution. Such a pretty little word.
Britannia alone moves forward, advancing steadily into the future. Even the death of my son Clovis demonstrates Britannia's unswerving commitment to progress. We will fight on. We shall struggle, compete, plunder, and dominate. And in the end, the future shall be ours. All hail Britannia! All hail Britannia!
So y'all heard that? Put a 1 in the chat if everybody was able to hear clearly what he just said. Put a 1 in the chat if you were able to hear clearly what he just said. Okay? Put a 1 in the chat. We got Deja. Okay, good. We got 3 people out of 71. Okay, good. So now we're going to listen to it again, and we're going to break down each section of what he's saying to elaborate on it a little bit. Listen close to what this person said. This is the emperor of a fictional place called Britannia, which is the same mindset of quote unquote America or Eurocentric delusionalists. Okay. Watch this. I like the quote that the brother put. He put, they despise the word of God and they trust in oppression. Exactly. They trust in oppression. Exactly. So listen close to the mindset of the evolutionists, the ungodly. Watch this.
All men are not created equal.
So the first statement he says is all men are not created equal. So while they tell you and write in their writings in 1776, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, in reality, they did not agree with that. Okay? They did not agree with that. Watch this.
Some are born swifter of foot, some with greater beauty, some are born into poverty, and
He said, some are swifter of foot, some are of greater beauty, and some are born into poverty.
those born sick and feeble.
And then he says, some are born sick and feeble. So who is this Eurocentric delusionalist talking about? Let's go back again. So Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2. Let's go back to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2. And I want to show you something. Watch this. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2. We're going to start at verse 10. It says, let us oppress the poor and righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age. Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. That's exactly what you heard that this politician just say. This politician just said that, let's listen to it again.
Some are born swifter of foot, some with greater beauty, some are born into poverty, and others born sick and feeble, both in birth.
So he said, some are born into poverty and some are sick and feeble. So now, does this sound like exactly the mindset of what we just read? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Let's read verse 1 again. For the ungodly said, reasoning within themselves, but not aright. Meaning, the way the ungodly think, they'll like to reason. They'll like to use philosophy and various words to think and meditate on things, but their mind isn't right. Their mindset isn't right. So listen close to what this emperor said. This will give you the mindset of the imperialists. Listen close.
And in upbringing, in sheer scope of ability, every human is inherently different. Yes, that is why people discriminate against one another, which is...
He said, everyone is inherently different, which gives them a reason to justify being discriminatory. You hear this? This is exactly the mindset of Eurocentric delusionalists, y'all. They say because we're different, because we don't look the same, because we have different cultural habits, then we have the right to discriminate once against another. That's the mindset of the ungodly. Watch this.
Why there is struggle, competition, and the unfaltering march of progress.
He said, this is why there is struggle, competition, and the march for progress.
Inequality is not wrong. Equality is.
You see? You see? You can't make this stuff up. He said, inequality is not wrong. Equality is wrong. That is the mindset of the wicked. That is how they oppress the poor. That is how they oppress the widow. That is how they oppress the orphan. That is how they oppress those that they consider less than. Ask the people that call themselves Israeli how they feel about the so-called Palestinians. They'll tell you out of their own mouth, oh, they're less than. Ask so-called Eurocentric delusionalists, how do they feel about blacks, Hispanics, Americans? They'll say, oh, they're less than. With no proof, no evidence, just supposition, just their feelings. Just their feelings. That's why God is going to judge the wicked of the earth. Listen close.
What of the EU, which made equality a right? Rabble politics by a popularity contest. The Chinese Federation with its equal distribution of wealth? A nation of lazy dullards. But not our beloved Britannia.
So he says all these other nations that's fighting for equality and all of that is all cap, it's all BS. But not our beloved Britannia. Let's make it plain. Those same jokers that was walking around with MAGA hats talking about, you will not replace us. You will not replace us. All hail Britannia. Make America great again. Same mindset, y'all. Same exact mindset. Y'all understand what we're listening to? We're exposing the correlation between the thought process of the ungodly and what we're reading in Wisdom of Solomon, and it's giving you the direct correlation of Roman imperialism, meaning the same ways that the Romans conducted themselves in ancient times, their descendants have that same similar thought process. In regards to other nations of the earth, they rather consider them less than and place them through their evolutionary theories as subservient to the quote-unquote dominant culture. Watch this.
We compete. Evolution is continuous.
You see that? He said evolution. He says we compete. Evolution is continuous. So now let's type on Google. Let's do a Google search because I like history, right? Was Charles Darwin racist? Was Charles Darwin racist? Let's see. Let's just look at the first link. The first link that I have is called Illuminating Charles Darwin's Morality, Slavery, Humanity's Origin, and Unity. Let's look at that for a brief moment. Let's look at that. All right, let's see here. Let's look at, let's get the full title. Let's do this. Let's look up the full title of the Theory Evolution book, right? Full title of Origin of Species. Listen close. Listen close. The book's full title on the origin of species means of natural selection or the preservation of favored races in the struggle for life. That's the full title of the book, ladies and gentlemen. That is when your children go to school, all they hear is that the book is called The Origin of Species. Many of you, ladies and gentlemen, went to science class and your teachers told you about the book called Origin of Species, did they not? But they never told you that the book's full title was The Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection, or the Preservation of Favored Races in the Struggle for Life. So who did this Caucasian man speculate was a favored race in the period of time where they was enslaving people? If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. Y'all understand that? Watch this, watch this. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 1. For the ungodly said, reasoning within themselves, but not aright, our life is short and tedious, and in the death of a man there is no remedy. Neither was there any man have to return from the grave. For we are all born at adventure, and we shall be hereafter as though we had never been. For the breath of our nostrils is as smoke, and a little spark in the moving of our heart, which being extinguished, our body shall be turned into ashes, and our spirit shall vanish as the soft air. And our name shall be forgotten in time, and no man shall have our works in remembrance, and our life shall pass away as the trace of a cloud, and shall be dispersed as the mist that is driven away with the beams of the sun, and overcome with the heat thereof. This is showing you, ladies and gentlemen, the mindset of the ungodly. They say, you know what? Man is not going to exist forever anyways, so we might as well live it up while we're here. We're just going to come here and be gone. Here today, gone tomorrow. The Bible is revealing the mindset of the Greco-Roman culture. This theory started with the Greeks. This philosophy transitioned into the Roman Empire, which also transitioned into the European powers, which also transitioned into America. Watch this. I'm going to prove it. I'm going to prove it. Watch this. Watch this. Let's listen closely to what this guy said.
Evolution.
Lazy dullards. Inequality is not wrong. Equality is.
So the people that express a love for the theory of evolution, their mindset is inequality isn't bad. Equality is bad. Fairness is bad. Equity is bad. Meaning they constantly want to oppress to gain riches and wealth while everybody else stays on the bottom. You know what's sad about this thought process? They do it to their own people. And their knuckleheads still say, make America great again, while they're paying taxes to the same ones that oppress them. They make you shout for joy in your own ignorance. That's the saddest thing of it all, man. Think about it, y'all. 9/11 happened. It was proven that weapons of mass destruction was not in Iraq, right? And they still said, let's go to war, let's go to war. And they sent their sons and daughters to be deleted by uranium-laced weaponry. Y'all, you can't make this stuff up, y'all. Their own minions end up falling for the trap. For those that have wisdom, don't fall for the trap. Wisdom of Solomon is showing you the mindset of Eurocentric delusionalism. Listen close.
The EU, which made equality a right, ran politics by a popularity contest. The Chinese Federation with its equal distribution of wealth, a nation of lazy dullards. But not our beloved Britannia. We fight, we compete. Evolution is continuous.
Evolution. Such a pretty little word.
Britannia alone moves forward, advancing steadily into the future. Even the death of my son Clovis demonstrates Britannia's unswerving commitment to progress. We will fight on. We shall struggle, compete, plunder, and dominate.
He said, we shall struggle, compete, plunder, and dominate. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if this mindset fits the United States of America to the T, right? Yes, If this does not fit the United States to a T, right? No. Where they say, let our strength be the law of justice. Let's read it. Let's read it again. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 10. Let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age. Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. So this was written all the way in Solomon's time frame. Now we're going to show you how that relates to the Romans and show you Messiah in the Apocrypha. Listen close. Therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn, and he is clean, contrary to our doings. He upbraideth us with our offending the law, and objective to our infamy, the transgressions of our education. What man was going about rebuking the people, telling them you are breaking God's laws? As far as I read, Jesus the Christ was doing it. John the Baptist was doing it. Jeremiah was doing it. Abraham, Isaac, Noah. These righteous men were telling you, stop breaking God's laws. Stop living unrighteous. And how did the wicked respond? They lied in wait. They plotted against. They found ways to say, you're treasonous against the government. You're treasonous against Rome. You're treasonous against Europe. You're treasonous against America. All because they said, stop oppressing the poor. Do good and be godly. Repent and be converted. That's what these men were doing. Watch this. Watch this. It says, verse 13, he professeth to have the knowledge of God, and he calls himself the child of the Lord. Wait a minute. Who was calling himself the child of Yahweh? Who was calling himself the Son of God? Wait a minute. Who was calling himself the Son of God? We're seeing here the truth being revealed, the Messiah in the Apocrypha. But your churches of men is going to tell you, oh, don't read Wisdom of Solomon. Oh, don't study the precepts. Oh, don't read that. Don't read this. Don't study it. And then you won't know relative information that can assist you in your faith. Remember, Solomon existed hundreds of years before Christ came on the scene. Solomon was a manifestation of Christ before Christ came on the scene. If you understand it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. I'm not going to explain it to you. I'm just going to put it out there. Okay. He foretold about his children and his descendants what would happen to this righteous man. Watch this. It says, he professeth to have the knowledge of God, and he calls himself the child of the Lord. He was made to reprove our thoughts. He is grievous unto us even to behold, for his life is not like other men's. His ways are of another fashion. Meaning what? The way this man conducted himself, he wasn't up in the club dancing, smoking weed, getting high, getting drunk, partying with everybody. He'll turn water to wine every now and again, but he wasn't getting drunk. He was telling the people to live righteous lives. He was telling the people repent and be converted. He was speaking through parables, relaying the salvation of his people. But the wicked, the ungodly, they didn't understand it. Watch this. We are esteemed of him as counterfeits, meaning what? The righteous, the prophets, we look at the people of the world and we tell them, you fake. You fake. You're not real. You're not a real person. You're fake. You don't understand that? That's how Christ was on the scene rebuking people left and right. Same thing with John the Baptist. Yehochanan, he was going and telling the Roman officials to their face, hey, look, you're not supposed to be committing adultery with your brother's wife. And what did they do? They unalived him. They said, give me the head of John the Baptist on a platter. He's a terrorist. He's an insurgent. He's against the Roman government. All because the man said, don't follow sin. Don't follow lawless behavior. Walk in the ways of righteousness. All right. Somebody said this is what the moderns call agents. Exactly. There were people spying out. There were people spying out the liberty of the people following the ways of God, and they were setting them up. Watch this, watch this, watch this. Watch this. Verse 17. Let us see if his words be true, and let us prove what shall happen in the end of him. They were plotting against his life, y'all. For if the just man be the son of God, hold up, wait a minute. If the just man be the son of God, hold up, wait a minute. If the just man be the son of God, who was calling himself the son of God? Who was calling? Watch this, watch this, watch this. I'm going to show you the same exact thought process of how the wicked religious leaders who had an affinity with the Roman government, how they dealt with the Messiah. And I'm going to show you how the Romans treated them. Let me make it plain. I'm going to show you how the Americans treated black people when they were getting ready to hang them on the trees. Listen close. Matthew chapter 27. Watch this. Matthew chapter 27. We're going to read verse 43. Matthew chapter 27, verse 43. Write it for the kids in the back that don't like to read. Matthew chapter 27, verse 43. What does it say? What does it say? It reads as thus. It says, he trusted in God. Let him deliver him now if he will save him. For he said, I am the Son of God. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Somebody said the Romans, aka Hispanic. Incorrect. The Romans came from Italy, Rome. Italy, Rome. The people that are called Hispanic, some of them are indigenous and was called property of Spain. Meaning what? My forefathers were enslaved by the Spaniards. If you look on a map, Spain and Italy is two different geographical locations. The Romans, Barak, spoke Latin. And then their Latin language split into various other languages, such as English, that's a Latin language, such as French, that's a Latin language, such as Spanish, that's a Latin language. Get your history correct. If you're going to make comments, make sure you have accurate information. Watch this. How did the Romans and the wicked Israelites treat the Messiah? Let's jump up. This is Matthew chapter 27, verse 34. They gave him vinegar to drink, mingled with gall. And when he had tasted thereof, he would not drink. Y'all remember we read that last episode in Psalms chapter 22, how King David prophesied how his descendant would be forced to drink vinegar while they were trying to lynch him. Watch this. And they crucified him and parted his garments, casting lots, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the prophet. Which prophet? King David. Which prophet? A black man named David. They parted my garments among them, and upon my vesture did they cast lots. That's Psalm chapter 22. Psalm chapter 22. Go back and look that up. And sitting down, they watched him and set up over his head his accusation written, This is Jesus, the King of the Jews. Then there were two thieves crucified with him, one on the right hand and one on the left hand. And they had passed by, reviled him, wagging their heads. Watch this, watch this, watch this. Psalm chapter 22, verse 7. I'm showing you the Messiah in the Old Testament. All they that see me laugh me to scorn. They shoot out the lip. They shake the head, saying, he trusted on Yahweh, that he would deliver him. Let him deliver him, seeing he delighted in him. Wow. So the same thing that we're reading in the New Testament hundreds of years later is the exact fulfillment of prophecy. We call it history. The Bible calls it prophecy. We call it history. The Bible calls it prophecy. Watch this. This is Matthew chapter 27, verse 38. Verse 37, it says, and they that passed by reviled him, wagging their heads. So think about it, y'all. An innocent man was being hung up and lynched on a tree, and passers-by were cursing him out, reviling him. That's the same thing that happened in the streets of America. While strange fruit was hanging from the trees, many of the citizens of America came by and was mocking the people that were innocent, that were hung up as strange fruit. What are we reading? The Bible. What are we reading? The Bible. Watch this. And saying, thou that destroyest the temple and buildest it in 3 days, save thyself, if thou be the Son of God. Come down from the cross. Likewise, all the chief priests mocking him with the scribes and elders said, he saved others, himself he cannot save. These are religious folk, y'all. Let me help you to understand. In the United States of America, when they were unaliving black men and women and children, they were doing it after church service. It was the religious leaders that was doing it, y'all. It was the political lead, the judges, the firefighters, the nurses, the teachers, the priest, the pastor. They all went to church. They all went to church on good old Sunday. Good old Sunday morning. Good old Sunday morning, right? And what did they do? They came and they said, this person is innocent of any crime, but let's accuse them anyway. Let's make something up. Oh, I know what. He looked at a white woman. Lynch. Oh, she was talking bad to the police officer. Lynch. Oh, this one here, I know he's just 12 years old, but he was whistling at a white girl. Lynch. We're showing you the same correlation that they did to Jesus the Christ is how they mistreated the people of America, their own citizens. Their own citizens were crucified before them. Watch this, watch this. And they passed by, reviled him, wagging their heads and saying, thou that's destroyed the temple and buildest it in 3 days, save thyself. If thou be the Son of God, come down from the cross. Likewise also the chief priests, meaning the religious priests, the leaders, the elders said, he saved others, himself he cannot save. If he be the King of Israel, let him now come down from the cross, and we will believe him. He trusted in God. Let him deliver him now, if he will have him. For he said, I am the Son of God. Watch this, watch this. So now we're going to go to the Apocrypha and see is this the exact same way that the wicked, the ungodly, treated the Messiah in the hidden writings that your church tells you not to read? They say, oh, this isn't canon. This isn't in the Bible. Don't read it. Don't read it. Because it exposes the thought process of America. Watch this. It says, for if the just man be the Son of God, he will help him and deliver him from the hand of his enemies. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 18. For if the just man be the Son of God, what are we reading? The Apocrypha. The Apocrypha, y'all. The hidden writings of the Bible. The hidden writings of the Bible. It says, for if the just man be the Son of God, he will help him and deliver him from the hand of his enemies. Let us examine him with despitefulness and tortures. Let us examine him with despitefulness and tortures, that we may know his meekness and prove his patience. Is this talking about the Messiah? You better believe it. Is this talking about the Son of God? You better believe it. Guess what? I'm going to hip you up to some information, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, there is a RICO case going on in the state of Georgia where the United States government is calling black people now terrorists for fighting against their own oppression, for saying, we don't want you to build a military installation called Cop City. And what did they do? They said, you're a terrorist. You're a terrorist for saying that you don't want us to build a military facility in your... Listen, back in the days, the police officers that were formulated started off as the slave patrol. The police went from having billy clubs and flashlights to having military grade armaments. Y'all better wake up, y'all. Y'all better wake up. And they're doing it to everybody now. Now Caucasian people are like, oh, shoot, we done messed up. We done messed up. They doing this to white people too. Oh, no. Black people tried to warn you that the government was crazy. Black people tried to warn you that the government would mistreat you. And you said, well, it ain't happening to us, so we don't care. And now your police officers have what? AR-15s, M16s, flashbang grenades, rams to knock down your door, tear gas canisters. And if you stand up and say, I don't like the way you're mistreating me, I have rights, I'm an American citizen. And they say, bloop. Pew, 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 pew. The same thing they were doing to black folks, now they're doing to everybody. We warned you about the oppression and you did not listen to their screams. You did not listen when the police was sicking dogs on them in the 1960s. You did not listen when they screamed Black Lives Matter. You said, Black Lives Matter, y'all are terrorists. That's what you did. That's what you did. And now your own government, when you decided to stand up for your rights in January the 6th, and you went to the government's doors, they said, all of y'all are terrorists. That's what they did. That's what they did. You better wake up and smell the coffee. Watch this. How did the Romans treat the Son of God? Which is the exact same way America treats its citizens. Watch this. Let us examine him with despitefulness and torture, that we may know his meekness and prove his patience. That's Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 19. This is how the Romans treated the Messiah. This is how the Romans treated the Son of God. This is how America treats who they call insurgents. Men, women, and children fighting for their right to live and exist in a world full of oppression. They said, no, 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 no. I don't care if you're fighting for freedom. What we say freedom is, that's what freedom is. While they take you off to Guantanamo Bay, and you allowed it. You said, oh, that's okay. That's just happening to the Muslim people. That's just happening to them black people. That's not going to happen to us. And slowly, American citizens are disappearing. You can't make this stuff up. It's happening to everybody now. If you stand and say, hey, I'm against government oppression, you're going to be placed on a list. You're going to be placed on a list, and they're going to examine you like they examined Muslim people in Guantanamo Bay, as they examined black people throughout the time of slavery, Jim Crow, mass incarceration up until today. Now they will examine everyone, including their own citizens. I have a news article where a young Caucasian male was in a hotel room and the police said to him, I want you to listen to all my orders that I tell you. Listen to all my orders. While this man was literally just walking from one hotel room to another, a police officer with an assault rifle said to him, listen to my commands. And he said, okay. The man was so scared he was urinating on himself. And the police officer said, get on your hands and knees. The man got on his hands and knees. The police officer yelled, put your hands behind your head. The man put his hands behind his head. Walk up to me slowly. The man got up. He said, I didn't say to get up. Kneel and come before me. So while the young man was kneeling and crawling as a dog on his hands and knees coming up to the police officer, the young man raised his head up and the police officer went, pew, 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 pew. Pew, 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 pew. There was two Caucasian men that stood up against Eurocentric delusionalism during the protests that happened, and a Eurocentric delusionalist, a 17-year-old man, decided to drive all the way to that region where protest was happening. His name is Kyle Rottenhouse, and he decided, I don't care if you're standing up against oppression of black people. You're white. You should stand up for us. MAGA, make America great. And what did he do? Pew, pew, pew. And he unalived two Caucasian people. And he went to court, and your government said he didn't do anything wrong. No. Who cares if innocent lives were lost? They were standing up for black people. No, absolutely not. Let him go. And you think that's normal. Let's read it again. Let us examine him with despitefulness and torture. How does America examine its citizen? Let us examine him with despitefulness and torture. How did the Romans treat the Son of God? Let us examine him with despitefulness and torture, that we may know his meekness and prove his patience. Let us condemn him with a shameful death, for by his own saying he shall be respected. Now watch how the Bible responds. Such things did they imagine and were deceived, for their own wickedness blinded them. For their own wickedness blinded them. As for the mysteries of God, they knew them not, neither hoped they for the wages of righteousness, nor discerned a reward for blameless souls. For God created man to be immortal and made him to be an image of his own eternity. This is talking about Adam and the second Adam. The first Adam came of the black dust of the ground, formulated by the soil of the earth. The second Adam came as a spiritual entity, resurrected now to be called the Son of God. The Messiah is in the Apocrypha. Nevertheless, through envy of the devil came death or unalive into the world, and they that do hold on his side do find it. What is the result of those that follow the ways of America and its wickedness? You're going to find exactly what you're looking for. But those that seek to live a righteous life, you're going to find that there is a payment or a wage for righteousness. There's a reward for blameless souls. There's a reward for keeping the commandments. There's a reward for living righteous, y'all. You are going to get immortality. You are going to live forever by keeping the commandments of God and the faith of the Black Messiah. Revelation chapter 14, verse 12. Revelation chapter 14, verse 12. What spirit should we have to be resilient against lawlessness, resilient against sin, resilient against oppression? Revelation chapter 14 and verse 12. And it says, Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. Notice it says the faith of Jesus and not just the faith in Jesus. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. We have to have the same faith of obedience to the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Bible. This is another episode of Messiah in the Apocrypha. Tune in tomorrow on the Forefront Radio here on TikTok, also on YouTube, also on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and many more. And we will have another episode going into Messiah in the Old Testament. Thank you so much for your participation. We do appreciate your listenership. Please make sure to follow, subscribe, make a comment, and share this with others when it pops up tomorrow. And with that, we say peace and blessings to the 12 tribes. We're going to read one last scripture. Make sure y'all write a comment and shout out where y'all are from, so that way we can give shout outs to all of you that are here. All praises to the Most High. Thank you, Yanni Yah, for your comment. Put a shout out where you're from for the 70 plus people that are in the chat. Okay, we got a shout out to Houston. Houston, Texas is in the building. All right, who else? Put a shout out where you're from. We got Stratford in the building. We got Georgia. We got Florida. All right, we got Texas in the building. We got Virginia. All right, where else? We got Wildwood, Florida. All right. We got Antioch, Cali in the building. South Carolina in the building times two. We got Atlanta, Georgia in the building. We got the UK. Hey, I don't eat cookies. I eat biscuits. UK in the building. We got Chicago. We got Texas. We got Cali. Cali in the house. All right, y'all. All right. We got St. Louis in the building. Mississippi. You know, Mississippi, I used to love Mississippi because when I was in class, they used to have to force me to spell Mississippi. Mississippi. I remember that thing like it was yesterday, man. We got Australia. Good day, mate. We got New Jersey in the building. Shout out to New Jersey. But I will never drive through New Jersey ever again. I'll tell that's a story for another time. I'd rather fly over New Jersey. Much love to people in New Jersey, but man, y'all cops over here. Whoo! I'm telling you, do not get pulled over in New Jersey. Do not drive next to Dodge Chargers speeding past you because they are undercover cops setting you up. I'm just going to tell you straight. If you're driving through New Jersey at 2:00 in the morning and there's a Dodge Charger trying to race you, that's an undercover cop, y'all. Trying to hem you up. And then when they hem you up, they're going to hold you for 2 or 3 hours and try to plant drugs on you. I'm telling you the truth. But I love my people from New Jersey, though. They hardcore just like New York. They don't care. All right, let's read Numbers chapter 6, verse 22. Shalom to you, peace and blessings, Sister Renaissance. Welcome to the room. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise shall ye bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, The Lord bless thee and keep thee. The Lord make his face to shine upon thee, and be gracious unto thee. The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee, and give thee peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. I hope this was insightful for you all. I hope this was a blessing where we can see the Messiah in the Apocrypha. Tune in tomorrow on the Forefront Radio on TikTok. Same time where we'll go over this information and bring out more precepts from the hidden writings of the Bible that the modern day churches do not want to reveal. And with that, we say peace.